Today, Baba is talking about one sanskar that becomes an obstacle in service. Now, you see, Baba has given us the understanding of service. Now, what is service? So, previously, on the path of devotion, we always thought that giving somebody food or clothes or sending them to school, paying for their education, that is serving them. And yes, that is giving happiness to somebody, but that is temporary because you are just watering the plant and not the seed. Yes, so what is the seed? The seed is the soul, and this body, the relationships, the work, they are all branches emerging from the tree of life, and the seed of life is the soul. So when we are body conscious, we have no idea about the soul. We don't know that the soul is the one who is the master of the body, and the state of the body depends on the stage of the soul. We don't know that the soul does everything through the body. So if the soul is not healed, then whatever you do will not be accurate. And when your actions are not accurate, your destiny cannot be created. So we don't know all this on the path of devotion. So, or even if we know, we don't know how to nourish the soul. So what we do is we think of service as doing everything for the body and for material acquisition and helping somebody financially or physically or some way. But that is very temporary, because you may feed somebody for once, but they will get hungry 3 times a day. And how long can you feed somebody? Until and unless you convince them that they are capable of earning their own food. Now, if somebody is in such low self-esteem that they have given up on the hope that I am a human being and I am capable of earning my own food, then they will keep begging. And how long can you feed somebody? Yes, so that is a question that we need to ask. Now, Baba teaches us spiritual service. And what is spiritual service? Serving the soul. So, and the soul is served in 3 ways. So, first kind of service is through thought. So when whatever you send as vibrations, so your vibrations, you see, the soul hears through the ears, the soul sees through the eyes, all of that is accurate. But there is, the soul has much higher capacity than the body. So the soul is capable of perceiving ideas, vibrations, everything. So, even when the body is small, so, even when the body is of a child, the soul is receiving everything. Yes, so that's why when we are body conscious, we don't get that. And although, psychology has been telling us for so long that in the initial years, right from the inception in the womb to 3 years of age, the child develops his whole personality. But do we ever understand that? No, because when the soul is in the womb, we don't even, we can't even figure out that this is a person until, we see them in front of our eyes. And then even when the child is there, you think that, the child is a child, so they are not hearing anything. They don't understand the language you're speaking, or they don't understand what you're doing. So you keep doing and speaking everything in front of them. But what the soul can do is the soul can receive vibrations. The soul can receive ideas, everything. So you see, when we are talking about an idea in language, the soul is not just understanding the words, but also the idea behind it. Now, the child doesn't understand the language, so the child doesn't get the idea, but the child can receive the vibrations. And when we are body conscious, we don't stay aware of that. But Baba has given us this knowledge that every soul is capable of receiving vibrations. And so, one form of spiritual service is through the mind. You always keep your mind in a state where the mind is constantly creating feelings of good wishes, and there are good wishes and good feelings emerging from the mind. And that happens when your mind is pure, because purity means your mind is not influenced by the external circumstances. And when you are able to, when you have that power of purity, you are able to choose your thoughts and feelings at all times, because the mind that's not pure doesn't have choice. That mind is very susceptible to external influences, and you don't even know when something that's on the outside has become your feeling or your thought. So purity is important, and when you practice purity, then you can serve through the mind constantly. Then second way of serving the soul is through words. So the serving, the so when you relate or when you share spiritual knowledge with somebody, so when you tell the soul, who are you? So the main problem is everybody has forgotten that they are capable of so much. So we didn't even know that, I am a peaceful and I'm a peaceful soul, and I'm a child of God, and that God's treasures are my treasures. So all of this knowledge, so new knowledge gives rise to new possibilities. So sharing knowledge with somebody is spiritual service. And then third thing is through action. When you come in action and interaction, then you can teach somebody through your virtues, whatever virtues you embody. So if you are always speaking sweetly, then even if you don't tell somebody that you should speak sweetly, they will adopt that virtue from you. Because every soul is virtuous and every soul is attracted towards virtues. So if you are an embodiment of virtues, then the soul will catch those virtues. Yes. And then you see, individually we do all these things, and it is recommended that you serve through body, mind, and action. But then Baba has created the yagya, centers, and Mount Abu, the headquarter, and there also there is a lot of service going on. So there are Baba's children who have dedicated their lives to serving, in Baba's service. So anybody who is, in a household, they are doing as much as they can, but as much as you can is not best enough, because the whole world has to be purified. So then what happens is some children have to dedicate their lives and do this 24/7. So Baba says that everybody is doing their bit. Those who are living in the household are also doing their bit. And then there are children who are, 24 hours, they are doing spiritual service, whether it is serving through words or thought or action. So that service is going on. So then supporting the centers. So you are connected to this center, and anybody connected to whichever center, it is your duty to support that center through body, mind, wealth also. So, when there is service in the center, then, those children who are connected to that center also contribute. If you can contribute physically or you can contribute through wealth, so that contribution is also called service. So becoming a hand in Baba's task is also called service. Now Baba says that there is one sanskar which becomes an obstacle in service. And what is that sanskar? The sanskar of coming into conflict. Now, what is the sanskar of coming into conflict? So you see that we are all different. This is knowledge, right? So I am not like you, you are not like anybody else. So every soul is different. We have different sanskars. And difference of sanskars, difference of opinions is a spiritual truth. Yes, where you cannot have the same sanskar, you cannot have the same opinion, correct? But what is the sanskar of coming into conflict? When you start saying that you are wrong and I'm right, that is when conflict begins. Okay, you may not be even saying it, but in your heart, if you have this feeling of inferiority complex for the other person or superiority complex for yourself, so if you start thinking that, I am better and this is a fool, and, I know everything and they know nothing, so then this starts giving rise to conflict. And the basis and the root of conflict is body consciousness, superiority complex, and then, or, inferiority complex also, because if somebody is even giving you a correction, you start feeling that they are saying you are wrong or unworthy. So that is also a reason why conflict arises. So a conflict arises from body consciousness, from ego, from inferiority complexes and superiority complexes. And when there is conflict, then you can't work together. And then, instead of focusing on getting the work done, you start focusing on, winning against each other. So, and how do you win against each other? So the traditional method, conventional method that we follow in Kali Yuga is, if you can't rise high, pull the other one down. So that is how you start trying to win. So this is what happens when conflict arises. So, you, instead of thinking what is right and what should be done, you start getting caught up in who is right. And then establishing that I am right, and you don't care about what loss happens to the service or how, the final end product is suffering. You don't care about that. So that is the sanskar of conflict. Now, do you have, many children think, so understand this very well. You think that I may have a sanskar, but that sanskar is because of my circumstances. And my sanskar is because of the circumstance or the person I'm with. And you don't take ownership of your sanskar. Yes, and then you think that, if this person is not around me, then I'm not behaving like that. So that means the person is the problem. My sanskar is not the problem, right? But the thing is, the first chapter of knowledge tells you that your sanskar is just getting triggered in the presence of a person. But it is your sanskar. And whatever is getting triggered, just pay attention to it. It is there in you. And if you don't diagnose it, if you keep blaming it on the other, that, no, that's not my nature, it's just because, this person is very pathetic, or, this person pushes the wrong buttons, that's why I'm getting triggered. That's not true. So I will tell you one thing. So there was this one sister, and she said that I only have problem with my sister-in-law and with nobody in the world. So I'm nice to everybody and everybody is nice to me. I only have a problem with my sister-in-law. So that means the sister-in-law is the problem. I'm not the problem. Because if I had a problem, if I had a sanskar, then it would be active with everybody. But why is it that it is only active with my sister-in-law? Then that means that she is the problem. I'm not the problem. So then I said, so I tried to tell her that, this is not knowledge and everything, but she refused to accept. So I said, okay, then when the time comes, she'll accept. Then after some years, what happened is the sister-in-law, she died. Okay, so the sister-in-law was no more. And then she had another person in her life with whom she had the same sanskar, same conflict. And then later she told me, then I told her, you see, you think that, this is about the sister-in-law. It is not, because when your sanskar receives one outlet, you are filling your stomach, gratifying that sanskar through one outlet. You are not looking at other outlets. But when that one outlet will be closed, then your sanskar will find a way to express itself in another relationship, in another circumstance. So that is the thing. But what happens is we live in this illusion all our life that it is not about me, it is about the other person. And although you listen to Gyan or whatever, if you're not doing inner work, you never get it. So Baba says that see your sanskars and work on them. And any child of Baba who sees their sanskar and recognizes it, Baba gives a very easy method, just remember me, just imbibe the opposite of that sanskar. So let's say you have impatience, then just take the swaman, seat yourself on the seat of self-honor, that I am endlessly patient. And just with that awareness, use that sanskar of patience in every situation very consciously, and then it will become your sanskar. So you will win over the sanskar of impatience by drawing patience into yourself through remembrance and then using patience while you work through the day. So Baba gives us very simple methods, and sanskar changing is not difficult, but the bigger challenge is denying your sanskar. So until and unless you stop denying your sanskar, you cannot get over it. So Baba says we have many sanskars, and we have to work on all of them. And Baba today is talking about the sanskar of coming into conflict. Now see yourself in your workplace, in your household. Are you coming into conflict? Are you having this thought that this person is wrong and I'm right? Maybe you are so convinced that you think that I'm not thinking they are wrong, they are wrong. Okay, so but that is also your thought. So just check your sanskar. And if you have this sanskar, then you cannot work together. So even when when you progress on this path, and then you will start becoming part of the family, and then you will start doing seva, and we will start communicating with you about matters of the yajna and whatever is going on in the institution, then you will come into conflict with the Brahmin family also, because that is your sanskar. So and whenever your say doesn't prevail, then you will walk out because you think that, I am right and I am being insulted. So this is what happens. So Baba says, check your sanskars, because whatever sanskar you have right now, if you don't work on them, they will become obstacles on the spiritual path also. And then Baba says anger. Anger is another one. So, when there is anger, you cannot think right, and then you make bad decisions, you speak words that you will regret later, you do things out of, reaction which you regret later, and that also becomes a very big obstacle in Brahmin life, because, you will keep spoiling your relationship with the Brahmin family and Baba both. Because of the sanskar of anger. And do not blame your sanskars on other people's doing. Because if there is no trace of that sanskar in you, you cannot get triggered. You understand they are doing something wrong. So, understanding, recognizing is not the problem, but justifying your reaction and saying that they are wrong, that is the problem. So, you have to understand that, okay, they are wrong, accept it, they are wrong. But why are you becoming wrong because of them? Because you are also the same. So, if somebody is speaking rudely, okay, they are speaking rudely, everybody can see it, hear it. But why are you speaking rudely? Because you are also that same kind of person. Na? Don't justify your rude behavior that, they are doing it, so I'm doing it. No. They are doing it because they are rude. You are doing it because you are the same. You are also that same person. So this is the thing, And Baba says this becomes a very big obstacle. And Baba, and I will tell you some things. So in the last 1 week, I have had two instances where I saw that, how old sanskars, they betray you. So there is this one mata, and she has this sanskar of guilt, feeling very guilty when somebody blames her. So that's also a very difficult sanskar to work with. Anybody can put you into guilt, and that's very dangerous because you become so vulnerable. And then so they had a conflict in their place, in their home, and she was married to one of the two brothers. So the two brothers, they fought, and then they had a separation in their house. And then after that separation, the father-in-law, he cried and he blamed the two daughter-in-laws, and he cried and wept and said that, you people could not hold anything together, and you people will die in sorrow because you couldn't do your duty and these things. And this Mata, she was in Gyan for so long, but she went into depression after that. And she kept thinking that, this father-in-law and his curse will work, and her condition became very miserable. And she called last week and she was sharing this. And then I tried to make her understand that, it is your sanskar of guilt and you didn't work on it. So Baba says, even guilt is not a spiritual thing, and guilt is very tricky because, you see, you have to have realization, but you don't have to have guilt. So it is a very fine line between guilt and realization. So when somebody points out something to you, you shouldn't have that much ego that you can't realize if you made a mistake. Because there are some people who take that armor of ego very, what do you say, with lot of conviction, and then they can't even feel their mistake. They can't even realize their mistake. So no, if you have made a mistake, you should be able to realize it. But what is guilt? after you realize you made a mistake, what you do about it? Do you go into that mode where you keep wallowing in self pity, or you start, you blaming yourself and making yourself miserable? Do you go down that path, or do you go on the path that, okay, I made a mistake, how should I correct it? Okay, so uh, guilt is realizing and doing nothing, just making yourself more miserable. And we live in a culture, it is a sanskar, feel guilty, do nothing. Yes, because religion tells you that feeling guilty is a form of repentance. So you think that not forgiving yourself for the mistake that you've done and engaging in self loathing and telling yourself that I'm a bad person and living in that self pity, that is the way to deal with your mistakes. No, that is definitely not the way to deal with your mistakes, because if you say I am a bad person, then how can you become better? You have to have first the faith that I can do better. I'm not a bad person. I made a mistake. I'm not the mistake. I am a good person. I made a mistake. My mistake doesn't define me. I can do better than the mistake. Next time I will take care. So that is the method to engage in self-realization. But people say guilt. So guilt in Hindi is called aparad bodh. Okay, aparad bodh. So I committed the sin. So guilt. So somebody asked, so I answered. Okay, so this guilt, Baba says that. This guilt is in that case also with that mata, I saw that this guilt was eating her up. And then I tried to tell her that, sister, you didn't make any and in that case it was not even her mistake, because the brothers decided. She was nobody to decide. So I just said, yes, you could have talked your husband out of it, but it's okay. Now you do whatever you can, otherwise let go. If you can't do something about anything, because sometimes you want to go back in the past and correct something, and that's not possible, so you give it to Baba. So whatever has happened and you can't correct it, just give it to Baba, that Baba, this is done and I'm just emptying my heart and giving it to you, and I will take care to be careful in future. So you have to work on every sanskar. You have to discern, and then you have to work on it. And if you have realized I have a sanskar of guilt, work on shifting from guilt to realization. If you realize you have a sanskar of fear, work from shifting from a state of fear to a state of care. You take care before the thing happens, not out of fear but out of understanding that I have to be careful and do the needful, that I don't fall into that that problem. So Baba says that every sanskar needs to be worked on. I will tell you another thing. So there is this one mata, and she was in Gyan for very long. But she had this one sanskar that when somebody said, you are not getting any better, every day you're going and you are being, putting up this act of being spiritual and all, but you are not improving. So she would feel it a lot. So, some people have this sanskar of feeling everything that anybody says. You can't let go. And then, her family members, the ones in the home, every day they kept saying that. And for some years, she fought with it, and then she gave up. She just couldn't feel that she's getting better. And I tried to tell her so much that, look at the discipline that you have had, and look at how much you have worked on your anger, and look at how much you have become efficient in your work. But she just couldn't see all of that because she had this sanskar of feeling what the other person said too much. And then you are not able to have that objectivity to even discern whether whether what they are saying is right or not, because you are so influenced by other people's words. So if you have that sanskar, just develop this sanskar of discerning on your own. Every time somebody tells you something, take a pause and sit with Baba and ask Baba, Baba, whether Baba, what is it? What they are saying is true, or what I am doing is right. So you have to create this habit, and you have to have that self honor, that I'm doing things on Baba's direction, so I am doing the right thing. So if you don't develop all these things later, these things become a very big obstacle on your spiritual path. Initially, it is not a big obstacle, because initially, it is your honeymoon period in Gyan, and Baba is giving you extra love, extra blessings, and you are finding every new knowledge interesting. Every day, yesterday Baba talked about Hatha Yoga, Raj Yoga. Today Baba is talking about liberation in life. You are very happy to learn new concepts. But gradually, it is your life on this spiritual path will be about remembrance and service. And in that path, these sanskars will become a very big obstacle. And if you don't work on them in the initial days, if you at least, maybe you cannot change them instantly, but at least work on them so that they eventually change. So, and the first step is diagnosis. If you deny them, you can never change them. So this is one thing. Second thing Baba says is, we have to do righteous karma always, and then we can become Baba's right hand. So, about the right hand, Baba says worship is done with the right hand, and then all good things are done with the right hand. Right hand is considered the auspicious one. It is a symbolic way of saying things. So Baba says, I will make you an instrument to carry out my work if you pay attention to following my directions at every step. So, when Baba says you have to wake up at Amrit Vela, wake up at Amrit Vela. Sit in yoga, yes. Attend the class. If you're asked to switch on the video, switch on the video. If you're asked to, participate. If you're asked to, do service. If you're asked to maintain a chart and send a chart. If you do what Baba says, then you will become Baba's right hand. And if you don't do what Baba says, you cannot become Baba's right hand. Because Baba is not telling you to do anything which doesn't have any consequences. These things have a very subtle. I will tell you about keeping the chart. Baba says, keep the chart. And children think that, why do I have to make an account of how much I remembered Baba today? It's okay, I know Baba knows. Why do I have to write it down and send it? No, when you write it down, you actually check. You never check how much you remember Baba. And when you check, whatever you check, you will pay attention to. Yes, so if you are checking something, then you will pay attention to it throughout the day. If you are not maintaining an account in the night, you will not check how much you remembered Baba through the day. So these are methods, whatever Baba is saying. And Amrit Vela, if you don't do Amrit Vela, there will be no spiritual progress. You will become that Pandit who knows everything and does nothing. Okay, so Amrit Vela is very important. Your vessel of the intellect will not become worthy of imbibing the knowledge that you're getting if you don't have remembrance of Baba in the morning. So Baba says, you have to do whatever I tell you. And when you do whatever I tell you all through the day, then you will become so worthy, so capable, so serviceable that through you I will do my work. And even if you don't tell anybody, they will receive love and light and peace and knowledge from you. You will not even have to declare, but you will become Baba's instrument that way. So Baba says this is the method. So there are many times it is a very funny thing that in the center we receive such calls that somebody calls and says, what is the procedure to stay in the ashram? And we just want to stay in the ashram. So we say, you can't stay in the ashram like that. You have to become Baba's child and student. And then if you become worthy enough, then Baba will use you. This is not an ashram where you come and stay. This is a place where you just, when you become worthy, you end up being here. Or even if you don't end up being in the ashram, you will end up converting your place to an ashram. And I don't mean physically, but anybody coming to your place will feel that they have come to God's home. So Baba says, you want to become Baba's right hand through which Baba does all the work of world transformation. Work on your spiritual disciplines. Do whatever I say. Okay. Om Shanti. Anybody wants to share anything, please do.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Today Baba said that perform righteous actions.
Yes.
And when we stay in Swaman, it helps a lot to be righteous in our actions.
Correct.
And one question I had today, can honesty be taught?
Honesty can be taught, but because you see, there is honesty is there in every soul, right? So what is not there is trust. So when you don't have trust, you become dishonest. So you say you lie because you don't trust anybody, and you don't trust anybody to understand you. You don't trust anybody to believe you. That's why you start lying. And when you trust Baba, then you start becoming honest, because when you trust Baba, you start understanding that I can express everything the way it is and Baba won't judge me. So in my experience, everybody wants to be honest, but because they have always received a backlash for being honest, they stop trusting that honesty is a good policy. But when you come to Baba, so I will tell you one very personal incident. So there was this one Kanya, she used to come to the center and she used to lie like anything. She would like everything, you ask her, who kept this glass? She would say, I didn't keep it. When she was the one who kept it. So at every instant, she would just lie. And then, it took me 2 years of convincing her that if you told me whatever it is, as it is, I will not judge you. And I kept telling her and instilling that faith in her through my words, through my actions. And slowly, gradually, she learned how to not manipulate and be honest. So this is a very personal experience, and okay, even if you don't find a human being with who you can be honest, that's okay. But honesty with Baba is not difficult. You just have to, once you start feeling Baba's love, you start becoming honest with Baba. The more you remember Baba, you start feeling, because earlier it is, when you start remembering Baba, it is like, you're just trying to feel Baba's love. But once, that heart opens and you start feeling Baba's love, then you start becoming honest with Baba. That's what I have understood and experienced. Okay, Om Shanti.
And I have experienced that true honesty, we didn't understand it properly before coming to Baba. This statement, honesty is the best policy, we learned here only. Baba taught us. What is the actual meaning of that?
Right. So Baba teaches it. Okay. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Yes, Trupti Ben. Om Shanti. Om Shanti.
From today's really, my takeaway is accepting my own mistakes or taking ownership of whatever wrong I did and forgiving myself for the same time.
Correct.
My mistakes cannot define me.
Yes.
And cannot become an obstacle in my path.
Correct. Correct.
Working on myself is very important and changing my rigid sanskars.
Yes.
And that happens when I just keep on checking myself eventually.
Yes. And I will also tell you one thing in this. Sometimes people will also try to use your mistakes against you. So even if you want to move on, they will keep reminding you, you are the person who made this mistake, so now don't try to be behaving all saintly now. Yes, so they will say, you are not the saint, you are the sinner because you did this in the past. But don't give anybody the right to use your past to make you believe that you can't have a great future. So it is up to you to, deny that internally, that this is just, they are doing this out of ignorance. And I can do better. I have Baba. Baba is helping me do better. Okay. Om Shanti. Anybody else wants to share anything? Let's thank Baba for some time. I sit in the awareness that I am the seed of this tree of life. The body, the relationships, the work, are parts of the tree. And I, the soul, am the seed. The one nourishing me is my Baba. I, the soul, sit in peace in the experience of my Baba's company. My Baba is nourishing my heart with the sweetness of love. Pure, godly love. The love that heals. And I sit in Baba's company, drawing the sweetness of his love in my heart. Just sit with these thoughts for some time.